Good day to you. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I want to read you something. I'm sure it's something familiar to you, but it's in Galatians chapter 6, verses 9 and 10. Let us not grow weary or become discouraged in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap if we do not give in. So then, while we as individual believers have the opportunity, let us do good to all people, not only being helpful, but also doing that which promotes their spiritual well-being, and especially be a blessing to those of the household of faith, born-again believers. So, here we're being reminded that we should not grow weary or become discouraged in doing good. Now, I'll tell you, sometimes we do grow a little weary and we get a little discouraged. We feel like, I don't know, maybe we feel like it's not appreciated, or maybe we feel like people don't notice. We feel like any number of reasons like that. But in that instance, and I'm not trying to be super critical, but in that instance, if we feel like, well, nobody appreciates it, nobody knows it, well, that's not exactly true. God knows, and He appreciates it. And that's who we're doing it for anyway. And at the end of the day, yes, we are trying to help our brothers and sisters, or even unbelievers. We're trying to help them in some way so that maybe they will see that grace of God through us. But we're doing this for God, for the Lord. That is, we're doing that as a part of our work for God's kingdom. We're not just doing it for not just the person. We are doing it for the person out of a godly love where we want what's best for them. We want to help them. But we're also doing it for God. So we're not doing it selfishly. We want to make sure we're not doing it selfishly, looking for some kind of reward or something back. So, but it's hard sometimes when you feel like you're constantly giving, you're constantly trying to do right and do good by others and help others, and you feel like maybe you're not seeing the fruition, you're not seeing the results that you want to see. But you know what? That's okay too. God knows you're putting that effort in, and you may be putting that effort in and planting that seed, but you may never see it bloom, and you may not get to see it harvested. But it will still happen. It's just that maybe somebody else further down the line in life is going to come along, and they're going to water that, or they're going to harvest that and see that come to fruition. We don't always get to see the end results. We need to, trust and believe in God that we're doing His work, and that it's going to work to the good of whoever we're trying to help, whatever we're trying to do. So let us not grow weary or become discouraged in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap if we do not give in. So then, while we, and this says as individual believers, but I just believe while we as believers have the opportunity, let us do good to all people, not only being helpful, but also doing that which promotes their spiritual well-being, and especially be a blessing to those of the household of faith, born-again believers. So, because this really says, if you can go back to a simpler version, and this is still the same. I'm going to go back to the ESV for a moment. This is still going to basically read the same, but it's going to be a little shorter. I really like the Amplified for its clarity, but sometimes it does add a little bit to it, and by adding a few words, it may make it a little harder to read occasionally. That's not usually the case, but occasionally. So, if you read the English Standard Version, it's, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up. So then, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to those who are of the household of faith." I don't know any other way to say that other than what it is. I know that we can grow tired and weary sometimes. But this is an encouragement for us to not grow weary, to not give up. That even if we're not seeing the results that we want to see, or if we're not, maybe we feel like it just never ends, and it won't. Jesus said you'll always have the poor with you. So for some things, depending on what you're doing, you will always have people who are in need. You will always have people who are going through hard times who need help. It may not be the same people all the time, but you will always have people. So, I think this is a good encouragement to us, though, in our lives, to not give up, but to continue in God's work, to try to bless others and help others, to try to do good by them, as we have opportunity to do so. Now, sometimes, you may not have as good an opportunity as others, but, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people. And I think that's the core meaning here when you really get down to it, is while we have opportunity, let us do good to all people. That includes, and especially, he says, especially those of the household of faith. But all people includes everyone. God sends the sun and the rain and the snow on everyone. And he sends his mercy and love on everyone, especially his love. His mercy, you really have to come to him and ask for his mercy. But the fact that a lot of people live a long and what appears to be a reasonably good life, doesn't that not show that they have some mercy from God, that they've not been struck down? Every day that we live and every moment we have is kind of a mercy from God. So, and there are a lot of unbelievers that are still living. So, and I'm not holding that against them. I think it's good that they're living so that they have a chance to come to God. So let us not grow weary or become discouraged in doing good. And as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people. I think that's an important encouragement, and I know I just really shortened that down. Let's read those verses again. I'm going to read this from the Amplified. It is a little longer, but I still think it's very good. Let us not grow weary or become discouraged in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap if we do not give in. So, at the proper time. Now that's going to be God's time. It may not be our time. It may not be in front of us the way we want. But if we will continue to do good at the proper time, we will reap. Now, we will reap what? Well, I'm hoping we will reap a good reward for that person. As a good spiritual reward for us, but a good result for whoever we're trying to help, for whoever we're doing good. Now, you will also reap a good spiritual reward for yourself, but that's, not what I would be looking for. So then, while we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, and especially to those of the household of faith. Because we should always remember our brothers and sisters, and they are a part of our family, a part of God's family. Just like everything starts at home. You take care of your family, your spouse and your children, and you take care of them first. Everything starts at home. How you treat them is going to reflect how you're going to treat others. And then other people outside of that would be your Christian family, your congregation, and you treat them well and you look after them as well. And then you look after other people in the community and out in the world, and you look after those people and you try to help them because you want to be a light shining to bring them to God. If you give up doing good, if you quit doing good, then you're basically putting your light out and you're not going to attract any of those people outside. And if there's people in the congregation who are struggling, having trouble, and might fall away, if you don't have that light going, if you're not doing good and doing something to draw them, to keep reminding them, to help bring them back to God or to keep them from wandering away, they could wander away. So there's a lot to these couple of verses, at least in my mind. There's a lot of meaning. There's a lot here. So let's remember that. Let's remember to not grow weary, not become tired of doing good, and to remember to, as we have opportunity, to do good to all people. I want to thank you for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and stay safe, but stay pleasant despite the circumstances, and watch after others. Help others if needed, and remember that God loves you.